Hey everybody, this is the first video in the new series I told you all that I would be starting, and this is the video series about defending the church. I decided I'm going to call this the Lord's Home Defense. We talk about home defense all the time, but do we ever consider defending the Lord's home, the church? Now I have 8 video ideas so far. No doubt in the future I will either add ideas or add to these ideas. We'll see what happens. Okay, the first video I will have, or one of the videos I will have, I will not give these in chronological order. I'm just giving them as they come to my mind. First video will be about the layout of the church. How many doors are in there? What is the shape of your auditorium or your building as a whole? What is the visibility of the doors from certain positions? What about the visibility through the doors, as in, are they glass doors? Do they have slots of glass in them? Whatever. And where is the nursery? Okay, that will all be under the layout. And the second video will be about the responders, or armed responders. And we'll cover how many armed responders will you have? Should your ushers double as armed responders? How will you place your armed responders? Should you give the police a list of your armed responders? And training your armed responders to respond to police when they show up. Okay, the third video will be about action, actually doing it. This will cover, does the pastor or the person behind the pulpit give the call to action? Does he, is the guy behind the pulpit, does he give the DEFCON 1 or red alert, everybody down? Does he say something to get everybody down? What about the nursery? Is there an armed responder designated for the nursery, is he stationed at the nursery? I'm talking about, is there a guy that is in the auditorium but runs to the nursery if something bad happens, or do you have somebody stationed at the nursery for if something bad happens? He is there. And should just one armed responder clear the whole building while the rest of the people protect the audience? Or should the pastor or pulpiteer protect the crowd while all of the armed responders clear the entire building? Alright, the fourth idea will be the alert system. Should one person be designated to call 911 if something bad happens? Or should that be left to the person in the sound booth? Should you use the sound system as the signaling device for the armed responders? Should the armed responders take a microphone with them to signal whether the building is clear or there are more threats out there? And the fifth idea is legalities. Is it legal to have firearms in your church? You really need to look this one up, because you really do not want to use firearms illegally to defend yourself and others. Okay, well, that's another video. Alright, so if the answer is yes, you can legally protect your church with firearms, you need to search for the legal loopholes or qualifications you and your armed responders have to go through. Because there again, you have to make sure that you are following all the laws to the T. Alright, so if that's yes, but if the answer is no, you cannot use firearms in your church to defend your church. You should consider pestering your local legislation to get them to change that. Call the NRA to see if they'll help you out, or the National Association of Gun Rights, and whatever you have. Any political firearms people. You should also rally voters. If the answer is no, get the voters on your side so the legislation will listen to the voters, and not just a bunch of religious fanatics like we are. That's another video. Alright, so far we have the layout, the responders, the action, the alert system, the legalities. Now, or another one will be the arsenal. Should there be a hidden arsenal for the armed responders to access if they need it? As in, should there be a vault of, like a gun safe of long guns for them to access, or even just handguns in there for them to access if something bad happens? Should the armed responders just conceal a weapon? Should they always have a handgun on them at all times during the service but conceal it? Or should the ARs or armed responders have something concealed until a major incident happens, and then go for the arsenal of long guns? As in, should there be a distinctive between a minor incident where handguns will just solve the threat, or should they have long guns hidden somewhere in a vault so that they can reach it if something major happens? Escalation of threat and all that fun stuff. Alright, seventh video idea is training. Should the armed responders train with their defensive tools together, as in have a Protectors Fellowship or Armed Responders Fellowship with your church where they all go to the range and all train with their protective tools at the same time? Or should they just do it individually when they have the time? What would the cost be for the armed responders to train together? Should the church fit it into their budget for the training fellowship, whatever they do? Should the church float the bill for all the ammo, the range costs, and all of that? Or should the church even provide the firearms and lock the firearms in a safe until the armed responders are there? All considerations. Alright, the eighth video that I have, and the final idea so far, is informing the congregation. Should you hold like a business meeting in your church to vote on this defensive system? Or should this system be kept secret until something bad happens? Either way, I believe you should inform the congregation of how to respond to a violent action if something happens. And also, what should you do about the visitors who have concealed carry weapons, or, they decide to open carry in church, all that stuff? How should you deal with them? Should you let them in on the plan, or should you tell them to hide unless a threat points a gun at you, How do you deal with the visitors? So those are just the video ideas I have. I'll actually do full-length videos on each one of these, as I get clear thoughts made up on them. So I hope you got excited about it. I'm so excited about researching and doing these videos. I hope they'll help everybody out. Thanks for watching, and I'll remind you to walk a Christian walk and carry a loaded Glock. Yeah, you could even do it in church if you're allowed to.